Very good morning and welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United transfer news as Ineos state this is the week where 5 official transfers in and out should and could be done. No more messing around. It's July the 1st tomorrow. The significance of that will not be lost on anybody and time is up on the likes of CASEMIRO, Zirkzee, Branthwaite and others. We'll be delving into that. We'll also be talking about Luke Shaw, what's happening there. Is it an absolute joke of what's gone on there actually? Not expected to start for England in the knockout stage. What's going on with that? What does this mean for Luke Shaw and the risk attached to next season? Also, Rasmus out of the Euros with Eriksen last night. We'll have a little bit of a conversation about that because I don't mind rivals going in on Rasmus, but what I find very difficult is this, growing theme within our fan base to make mine a Player FC, and it's not what Man United's all about, and nobody can tell people how to support a club, but I probably am going to tell you because you know what, we are a club that has standards and we shouldn't be treating players like this who in a Man United shirt are delivering. So why are you judging them in a Danish shirt? We'll talk about that as well. We've also got transfer updates in relation to Sancho, Agate, De Ligt as well, and we will be going through an updated Hotometer. You got a glimpse of it there. There it is again. The Hotometer has been updated for you this Sunday morning. Some people take the weekend off. Not on the United Stand, my friends. For today, we are here to deliver with some updated news. Lovely stuff. Get your comments in as per usual. Before we get into all that, though, Surfshark are sponsoring the show today. Fantastic bit of kit, Surfshark. It's a virtual private network, a VPN. If you've ever used one before, give Surfshark a go because we've got a great deal for you. If you haven't used one before, what a VPN does and what Surfshark does is securely safeguard your private messages, photos, videos, and sensitive information. It's like a shield on top of your internet browsing. It allows you to change your virtual location as well. So if you're in the UK and you want to get log into like an American Netflix or whatever like that, you can change your location to New York. It's very, very simple, etc. There's also Surfshark One Suite, including alert for personal data breach notifications. You can have private ad-free browsing, antivirus, and alternative ID, additional privacy options. It's multiple use, so you can be using it on your phone or your laptop at the same time, and it works on things like Android, iOS, Linux, Amazon Fire. I think you get the picture there. But the special offer is, with the code United Stand, you get an extra 4 months free. So you get 4 months free when you use Surfshark, basically, with the code United Stand. Fantastic bit of kit, especially with the new season coming up. Link is in the description, or scan the QR code. Give it a try. It's 4 months free. If you've got a VPN anyway, you may as well give Surfshark a try. You might prefer it. It's a comprehensive digital protection with a 30-day money-back guarantee as well. Grab the exclusive offer with the code United Stand for premium digital protection. I know you're going to enjoy it. Thanks to Surfshark for sponsoring today's show. Absolute legends. Right, I can now reveal the Hotometer. There it is for you. In fact, before I reveal that, let me just talk to you about the importance of this week, actually, because the headline is official transfers announced this week, and people will be going, what's all that about? So basically, June the 30th today, July the 1st tomorrow. What's that all about, Goldbridge? You're just telling us a day change to a new month. We've all seen that. In fact, we see it 12 times a year. But this is significant in football because June the 30th is the end of the football financial year and July the 1st is the start of the financial year. So it means that many clubs, including Manchester United, have more capability to spend money and also more desire to spend money as new spend goes into a new budget. So this will be a big reason why Man United haven't done deals. It's also the fact that new shirts come out this week, so you want to hold people up holding the new shirt to get them to buy that and bring more money into the football club. And also, on top of that, July the 1st is when a lot of contracts go into final years. It's like when a lot of contracts end, like Rabiot, Varane, etc. So the significance of this week to Ineos is massive, and it's time up for a lot of the deals that they're working on. Branthwaite, Zirkzee, officially, they want something to happen this week, especially with Zirkzee. Like, there's no point waiting anymore. His release clause literally kicks in tomorrow. CASEMIRO as well. There's a story this morning that CASEMIRO might sit and wait at Manchester United unless he gets a big payoff. I don't know what people expect. Time is up for CASEMIRO. He has been told by Manchester United that he is surplus to requirements. He has gone on holiday and it is his agent's job to find him a club. Now, when he comes back from his holiday this week, if he's saying to Man United, I'm not going anywhere, it's a very brave decision to make when you've been told that you're surplus to requirements. So I don't buy into this nonsense that Casemiro is going to sit there and say, you know, I'm on 300 grand a week, I'm not going anywhere. He might do that, but he's been told you're not part of the plan and we're going to buy a midfielder. And whether you stay or go, we will do that because the Casemiro way, what people don't understand is with Casemiro, we don't need to sell to buy. In the sense that Casemiro is only year 2 into a 60 million transfer deal. Amortization means that when Casemiro goes, we won't really get anything FFP wise because we're just removing a wage, which to be honest with you, you know, it'd be nice to get rid of 300k a week and it'd be nice to bring 25 million into the club, but it won't go into the transfer budget because, you know, over 2 years, we haven't really taken off a lot of the 60 million that we paid for him. So Casemiro is surplus to requirements. He needs to find a move. That's on him. And again, time is up. We're not waiting until the end of August for this. Crack on with it. Same with Sancho. Same with Greenwood. This is a big week for Manchester United. And the expectation from Ineos is that they want to start doing some official deals this week. And I think that they will do. I think the reason we haven't done deals over the last few weeks is quite simply because it's June and we're waiting for this July the 1st thing to happen. So this week, I would be very, very prepared for here we goes or whatever, you know, Ornstein drops, whatever you want to call it. I think progression over this week is going to be massive and certainly over the next 2 weeks. And maybe some people are in a slumber and they think, oh, what? I've been here before. It won't happen. I'm telling you now, it is going to happen. These next week and week after are so crucial to Manchester United as we prepare for the tour, as players come back from training. But more importantly, it's not about that. It's not about players really coming back from holiday. Casemiro's not coming back from holiday and saying, let's have a chat. Casemiro's been on holiday talking with his agent about what his possibilities are. Victor Lindelof will be in the same position. Harry Maguire will be in the same position. Aaron Wan-Bissaka will be in the same position. They're not playing in the Euros. They haven't just been on holiday listening to, you know, reading a book. There actually are developments happening on the outgoings. And of course, on the ingoings, we already know about conversations with Zirkzee. So, you know, I think that realistically, very, very big week for Manchester United. I want to talk about a few things, but let's just bring the hotometer in. So let me just show you the previous hotometer. So that's where we were a couple of weeks ago. Todibo was top with an 8. Elise was second with a 6. Branthwaite was on a 6. Frimpong 5. Ederson 5. Neves 3. And Rabiot 3. The higher the score, the more likely the deal's going to happen. You know, hotometer, this time last year, Rasmus would have been a 9. Hotter than the sun. But that's where it was 2 weeks ago. And this is how quickly things can change around. Because when you look at that, Todibo, Elise, Branthwaite in the top 3. Todibo as an 8. And he was 2 weeks ago, very high priority. So Jim Radcliffe has even confirmed it himself. This is a player that wants to come to Manchester United. This is a player that Manchester United wanted, but this is now a player that UEFA have blocked coming to Man United. And that is why Todibo is now dropped all the way down to a 4. And we've got 4 players very high on that hotometer list now. Zirkzee at the top is 9. You could call it 90% because 9 out of 10 is 90%. He's in that 90% club. He's hot and he's probably the deal that happens first, I think. In fact, we did a poll on the community tab about who Manchester United's first signing will be. Many of you good people may well have voted on that. I can tell you, if I go to that community tab now, because that went up yesterday, your votes on that are Branthwaite 11%, De Ligt 25%, Agate 19%, and Zirkzee 44% on who will be Man United's first summer transfer window. So I think absolutely you've got it right. This week, and even probably early this week, will signify that. I mean, look, remember, the Netherlands are playing on Tuesday. Does that impact a Zirkzee deal happening before then? I don't know. But Michael says, why is Todibo even on there? Well, we'll get to that in a moment. But Zirkzee's number 1, and look, the expectation from Manchester United is that there'll be an official announcement on Zirkzee this week. Hopefully, for Manchester United, it's 9 out of 10, but there will be an official announcement this week. Number 2, look, Jared Branthwaite has to remain in there. You know, we're going to pass this June the 30th deadline that Everton have had to, you know, raise a bit of money, but they have raised some money, haven't they? So I think Branthwaite remains a 7 out of 10. Or a 7 on the Hotometer. He is still a player that Manchester United do desire and want. But are Everton going to make it a Frankie de Jong deal? Are they going to elongate it through the summer? And will Man United walk away, or will they actually get a deal done? I think with Branthwaite, it could happen. It could happen tomorrow. It might not happen at all. But he remains a 7 because he's a player that we're negotiating about. Agate, for similar reasons, we are in talks with him. We spoke about this last night. Fabrizio confirming those talks. Also, David Ornstein as well has spoken about it. So Agate is certainly a player that Man United are looking at, and I think he remains a 7. De Ligt, from nowhere really, is a 7 now, again because of Fabrizio and Ornstein talking about the talks that are taking place with him. But the reason I would put Branthwaite, Agate and De Ligt as a 7 and Zirkzee as a 9 is because Zirkzee's going to make his mind up this week. It's a release clause, and we've obviously swooped in to hijack that deal when Milan were working on it for a long time. So I think we're hot favourites for that. I think with Branthwaite, Agate and De Ligt, as I said last night, I would normally have them higher based on a Glazer regime, because when we're deep in talks with a player, we'll pay stupid money, we'll pay stupid wages, and the deal will get done eventually. We don't know what Ineos are going to do. Maybe they'll walk from Branthwaite, Agate and De Ligt because it's not a deal they want to do financially. They might walk. So I would keep them at a 7 at the moment, even though we know we're in very advanced situations with all 3 players. Then you've got a drop to 4 on the Hotometer. It's a big drop to 4. It's not even a 50-55, is it? Todibo stays there because he was such a hot target, but UEFA have blocked it. Could anything happen with that? I mean, to be honest with you, 4 out of 10 might be generous, but it is a player that wanted us and we wanted. So you do think, is anything going to happen legally there? Potentially not, but I would keep him on there. Frimpong's just gone very, very quiet at the moment. We may still need a right back if Wan-Bissaka goes. I'm going to show you the Coldometer in a minute. So I would keep Frimpong on there because if we need a right back, I still think he's the right back to go for. And then Rabiot, look, Neves has fell off completely. I think with the Agate move, how are we ever going to do the Neves deal anyway? But Rabiot remains there, probably for the next few days, just to see what he does, because his Juventus deal is up tomorrow. Does he fancy Man United? Have Man United kept it quiet? I would keep Rabiot in there. I agree with a lot of people that Rabiot at 29 isn't the sort of player that probably Ineos want, because this is one contract and then he's basically retired, whereas I think they're looking for players under 25. But I would keep Rabiot in there because we've got absolutely no concept of what Man United may or may not do. And they might fancy one experienced player on a free transfer like they did with Eriksen a couple of years ago. And nobody knows what Rabiot's going to do. And this is Ineos' first summer. So we can't say categorically that we're not going to do that. So I would keep Rabiot in there as a 3 at the moment, because you just never know in the next few days if suddenly Rabiot's signing for Man United on a free transfer. It could happen just like that, as much as it might not happen. So I would still keep him in there. And look, you know, on reflection, what are your thoughts if we're even vaguely right at the moment? Do you disagree with any of that? Do you agree with it? I think when you go below the 5s, it's very difficult to be right. But I think, you know, De Ligt, Agate, Branthwaite and Zirkzee at the moment are very, very, very clearly players that Man United are in discussions with, and they're the most likely signings we're going to do. And I've got to be honest, I can't be unhappy with any of those. De Ligt and Branthwaite, 2 centre-backs, a midfielder and a striker. And we've been told for months that the priority is 2 centre-backs, a midfielder and a striker. And lo and behold, that's what we're working on at the moment. So I'm very happy with those. Sanil says, Mark, I agree. Greenwood will be sold, but no harm to include him in pre-season. It'll only build the trust of interested clubs, says Sanil. I can't see it happening, mate. Gareth says, will Ten Hag play a 4-3-1-2 if we get Zirkzee? I can't see us playing a front 2. Can Archie Gray come to us if we go, as his deal is off, says Abdul. I don't think that's on United's list either. I'm sorry to be, you know, countering what all people are saying. They're all good points. Some people might agree with them. Braden says, morning, Mark. One thing I've noticed with our transfer targets is they're all physical monsters. Is this an area Ineos are typically looking at? Yes, I think, you know, we need to be mentally stronger. We need to be physically stronger, and we need to be more tenacious, and we need to cover more ground. And I think you're right, you know, and all these players are under 25 as well. You know, they're hungry players. They're not signing from Hungary, obviously, but what I mean is they're all under 25. They come into Man United. They've got 1 or 2 big contracts left in them that they've got to play for. And, you know, you look at someone like Harry Maguire, who we brought into the club at 25, and you give him a 6-year deal. Where's the hunger for Harry Maguire there? He's got a 6-year deal that takes him from 25 to 31. There's no hunger for a second deal, is there? He's basically got... I mean, the stupidity of United's contracts over the years are incredible. But, yeah, I mean, look, Ineos are doing what any clever club would do. You know, you bring players in under 25 who are hungry to take the next step, and then you give them contracts where they've got another contract when they're about 27, 28 that they can go for, and they remain motivated. You know, I think there is a theme, certainly. De Ligt deal gives off Pogba vibes. Both Raiola clients worry about injuries. Is anyone actually in for him? Aren't those clear red flags, says Big Z. Welcome to the Members Club, Bjorn. Look, I think Big Red, to be honest, Big Z, I just think you're, you know, the History Channel, UK Gold. I think you are judging the club on a regime that doesn't exist anymore. I get the similarities that you're talking about, but you are speculating, saying that De Ligt is like Pogba because they used to have the same agent. His agent's dead. You know, Raiola died a few years ago, unfortunately for him, and you know it's that. So that similarity is gone. The injury thing is no more injury prone than most players, to be honest with you, and you know, mistakes of the past. We have a different ownership now, so we've got to. I think I understand the concerns, but I also can flip those concerns as well. If Greenwood and Sancho leaves, we need a winger, says Casper. And also, if Greenwood Sancho leads, we need a winger. Yeah, but look, I think that's what I was saying about the right back situation as well. You know, we could well sign a right back if Wan-Bissaka goes. What if United bought all 7 on the Hotometer, says Ali? Well, we're not, you know, we're not, are we? Because I would have been very happy with all 7 of those. And that was 2 weeks ago. The Hotometer changes, so we can't claim we're going to get the 7 players we want because the Hotometer changes, doesn't it? Ab says, this might sound dumb, but can UEFA not dictate a fair price for Todibo? Not that his current price isn't, if they fear that we are trying to get them on the cheap, says Abs. Yeah, they could do, but I don't know what happens with that, in honesty. But look, Zirkzee, I think... There'll be a lot of people in the chat saying, I don't believe that we'll do an official deal this week. And I genuinely do think we'll get an official deal this week. I think we might get more than one. I would not be surprised if we've got 2 or 3 deals lined up, ready to go this week that we've had banked for 2 weeks. I really wouldn't. I really wouldn't. And certainly in the next 2 weeks, I think 4 or 5 deals. I would not be surprised if Zirkzee is ready to go on Wednesday. I would not be surprised if CASEMIRO is ready to go at some point this week. I think United have got deals banked. I just think that's the way Ineos are going to work. I don't think we're wandering into July going, ooh, what's going on here? I think with Branthwaite it might rumble on a little bit, but I always predicted that Branthwaite would be a difficult deal to do. But I genuinely will be surprised if by the end of this week we haven't... Look, we might not have a shirt being held up. I'll agree with that. But a here we go is you know, I find the official holding the shirt up only interesting for the quotes that you get from the club and the player. We all know that the official deal is when you get here we go, and you don't need to hold up a shirt for that. So I suspect that we will get that. I think Zirkzee's going to make his mind up this week, 100%. Yeah. Talking about Zirkzee, it would be remiss of me not to bring a couple of topical things in while we're talking about transfers. We have got some updates on Ugarte and Sancho and De Ligt to bring you as well. But look, let's just hit a couple of Euros things. And look, I'm wearing my England top. Mainu playing for England today is going to be, you know, hopefully a game changer for England from an English perspective. I think he can make a real big difference. But let's talk about Rasmus for a moment, because Zirkzee coming in, I think, is absolutely essential. And not just because it's Zirkzee. I think we need a second striker. We need a striker. I think that Rasmus last year, in the absence of Martial and Rashford's form, was sort of left to hang out to dry as a 20-year-old as well. And there's no doubt that, you know, I've met him, and what you see is what you get on the TV. You know, he's a player that, you know, is more than capable of taking on the responsibility at such a young age. But look, I was watching the game last night. I was doing the watch along on That's Football. There was a lot of people in the live chat, you know, absolutely cooking Rasmus and rinsing him and taking the piss. And for me, I don't care. I don't care. I don't think he cares, and I don't think many Man United fans care, because we've seen this with Timo Werner when he was at Chelsea. We've seen it with Nicholas Jackson. We've seen it with Havertz. We've seen it with Nunez at Liverpool. You know, rival fans love to take the piss out of a rival club's striker, and if you miss a chance, that's what happens. I think the concerning thing would be the amount of Man United fans who are doing it. I don't understand. I don't understand the disdain and, you know, genuine hate that I think exists in some of our fan base. Now, we get this levelled at us, but it doesn't exist here. Like, hate doesn't exist. That's a perception that, you know, I think some people have. But it, you know, if you watch the show every day, I don't hate anybody. I don't hate anybody, even my enemies who are not footballers. I don't hate them. I just, you know, I might just dislike them. I don't hate them. I think hate is a horrible trait to have, and it does exist. You see it. I mean, I can't not see the tweets sometimes, and I can't not see the clips. Some of the stuff that's said about Erik ten Hag, you know, bold fraud is a very horrible thing to say, and it comes from a place of hate. You see it against certain players as well. It goes beyond it, and you know, it's not right. Now, admittedly, I think I've said things about players in the heat of a moment when they've missed a chance or something like that. I can't stop that. I don't think anybody can stop that down the pub in the ground. But, you know, in a relaxed environment, there is a lot of hate. And I don't understand where it comes from Manchester United fans. Player FC is where I think it comes from. I think this is something that, you know, was invented in the last decade and does exist in every fan base. And I think people make their minds up about players, and we've seen it with Bruno, and it's almost like they can't, I don't know, it's a weird way to support a football club when there's players in the team that is very obvious that certain fans don't like, and it's almost like they want them to miss, or they want them to have a bad game. And we have seen it with Bruno, of course. But what I would say is, it's not really anything that bothers me, and I don't think it will bother the majority, because we have played this game before. And let's just focus on Rasmus specifically. I felt for a lot of that tournament, he was in a graveyard shift with very little service. I thought yesterday against Germany, he had a couple of chances where he could have done a little bit better. You know, the shot in the second half straight at Neuer, and the one-on-one where I thought Neuer did really well, he would have wanted to score that. So he could have done a little bit better there, of course. And he didn't have a great tournament. But I'm not interested in international football beyond it's a summer tournament that's exciting and it's a bubble to jump into. But I'm not watching Man United players and thinking, oh, I'm concerned about that. And I'm not watching players and scouting them that I've never watched before and going, oh, they could be a player for Man United. Domestic football is where it's at. And the only games I'm interested in relation to Rasmus was his last two league games before we broke up, where he scored two very, very good goals from the bench. I thought he had a very, very good debut season. He's a young striker that was always about potential. He's had no backup. He's played in a team with very little service. He's played in a team with a huge injury crisis. We need another striker. He is potential. And we've got Ruud van Nistelrooy coming in. And he actually had a decent first season. So I'm very optimistic about his ceiling, about what we're going to provide with him. And the coaching he will get next season. So I'm very, very happy about Rasmus as a player. I'm very, very confident in the sort of personality he is. And I'm very, very confident in the fact of bringing in a Zirkzee and a Ruud van Nistelrooy and not having so many injury problems. I think he's got the right platform, the right fan base, and the right ingredients to succeed. So I'm completely calm in relation to the criticism. The only thing I will add as well is that we've done this at Manchester United. We're used to this, and it's what makes our fan base great. In 1998, David Beckham got sent off, and the world wanted to destroy him. There were mannequins with his shirt on hanging from bridges in London. He was booed and heckled by every away ground for a year. His wife was subjected to abuse, and Manchester United fans embraced him as one of their own and was like, we've got your back. The same thing happened after Eric Cantona when he kicked the fan at Crystal Palace. You know, people wanted him banned from football, they booed and heckled him, and United fans had his back. Rooney, when he got sent off in 2006 against Portugal, we had his back. Ronaldo, who winked at Rooney getting sent off and got a load of shit from English fans, we had his back. Rashford and Sancho, when they missed the penalty. I don't know whether Sancho was actually at United then in the Euros 3 years ago. Maybe he wasn't. Rashford was. We had his back. We're used to this. This is nothing new. Let the haters hate. Let the toxic people shout. This is our football club. These are our players. And they will be protected. And most importantly, and I don't do online fans and match-going fans, but match-going fans, home and away, are going to have the back of Rasmus next season, like they'll have the back of any player that people want to target. And I will just add this in as well. I've heard the commentary from last night. I'm not even going to name the names who were on commentary, but you guys need to educate yourself on football, because the mainstream's under fire at the moment for talking shit. And you expose yourself as talking shit every single time you start talking about players that you clearly don't watch. Basically, the gist of it is that Man United wanted a striker and they've got a boy who's inconsistent. It was too far, and if it was an English striker with an English passport, it would have been very, very different. But yet again, Man United fans, we're used to this. We've played the game. We know how the media works. If you haven't got a British passport, it's open season. We've seen it with Martial, Bruno, De Gea, Pogba, and we'll see it with Rasmus, and we may see it with Zirkzee, and we may see it with Agate. This is what they do. But what they don't do is check the temperature within this fan base before they start slagging our players off. And what they don't remember is we will create a siege mentality. Hated, adored, but never ignored. And that is what we will do. So I'm completely relaxed about this. It doesn't bother me. In one way, keep having a pop at our players. And people will say, well, what about the criticism of Rashford? What about the criticism of Maguire? What about the criticism of McTominay from Manchester United fans? But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the criticism of one of our players in a Euros tournament. And I look at someone like Rasmus and I go, well, I couldn't give a shit. You know, I wanted him to do well for Denmark because it's his country, but couldn't actually give a shit from a Man United point of view. What has he done in his first year in a Man United shirt? Yes, thank you very much. I've seen enough there. We've got your back. If he starts performing badly in a Man United shirt consistently, then that's our problem and we can discuss it. But let the external haters hate. It's just not worth concerning about. The good thing is, he's out the tournament now. He'll be going on the tour. He's got an extra week off. You know, I want England to win today. I want Mainu to play well today. But if England did, by some miracle, get knocked out, it wouldn't take me long to go, Southgate's completely useless and it's on him. And at least Mainu gets a bit of time off. So, ready to go. And just before we go back to transfers, Luke Shaw is on the thumbnail. Yeah, so look, I don't know what mistakes have been made here and I don't know what your thoughts are, but Luke Shaw will not start for England today. It's a round of 16 game. We are over 2 weeks into this tournament now. He's been part of the England setup for nearly a month. The FA Cup final was over a month ago and he is still not match fit to start a game of football. This tournament finishes 2 weeks today. He's not fit. He never should have gone. I would argue that Harry Maguire is probably fit to play for England now. And he must be looking at it going, why didn't they take me then? Because Luke, you know, I said this yesterday. Argentina may have said, you know what, it's worth taking Lionel Messi in his prime if he's only going to be fit from the quarterfinal because he's that good. But Luke Shaw should not be part of that England setup in the, you know, fit for the, you know, what I've been told is Southgate wants Luke Shaw to come on for about half an hour today in the second half to get him ready for the quarterfinal. But you know, that never should have happened. It never should have happened. It's not good for the player. It's not good for Manchester United. And ultimately, I don't think it's very good for England. He's there now. I hope he does play for half an hour today. I hope there is no reaction. I hope he does start against for England next week against Switzerland. And I hope England do win the Euros and Luke Shaw plays well, because for me, he's the best English left-back. But from a Manchester United point of view, the risk factor in this is just incredible. Like, he hasn't played a game since February. And he's not ready to start a game with a tournament that's got only 2 weeks left. It's been an absolute screw-up. And I don't know the inside information from Manchester United, but I would guarantee Man United are sat there going, we want him out. But they can't do anything about it. They can't do anything about it because England have got him and he wants to be there. And they will be saying, well, look, we're still in the tournament and we think he's fit to play games today and next week. So it's ended up being an absolute shit show. And I think the only thing I'm thinking, and maybe some of you are thinking as well, is that I hope he does play today, and I hope there's no reaction between now and the end of the week, end of the tournament. But, you know, how long does he have a holiday then? You know, we need Luke Shaw to start for Manchester United in that first game at home against Fulham. And if England did make the final in 2 weeks, he gets a 3-week holiday. And he's just had 6 months off with an injury. So I just, you know, from an England point of view, I want Luke Shaw to play, and I want him to play, and I'm a big fan of Luke Shaw. But from a Manchester United point of view, it's been an absolute shit show. Where the blame is, I don't know. Personally, I think it's with Southgate and England. I think they would have known, you know, very, very quickly that he wasn't going to be available until the knockout stage. And at that point, they should have sent him home. But they won't do it because it's about everybody else. It's about what's best for them, isn't it? It's not about what's best for Manchester United. Not a meter for outgoings, says Wheels. Well, no, we don't have the not a meter. We have the colder meter. So on outgoings, would I make any changes to that? Well, I'd say Mason Greenwood is still the favourite to go. A 9 out of 10. I think he probably is the first one that will go. I'll come back to Sancho in a minute. Van der Beek's got to go, but, you know, we're not hearing anything about that. Christian Eriksen has done himself no harm in the Euros. He scored a very good goal in the group stage. I mean, that touch in the first half yesterday was, you know, magnet feet, wasn't it? The only thing I would say about Eriksen, and I've said it to you before, is he's a number 10. Like, he's a number 10. If I was a team in the Bundesliga or La Liga, or, you know, I know he's played there before, Italy, I would be looking at Eriksen and I would be thinking, well, let's find out what's under the bonnet. You know, let's do a proper medical in relation to his legs and stuff. I'm not talking about his heart condition. I'm talking about, you know, that Andy Carroll tackle did take something away from him. We know before that he was a very important player for us. But Man United don't use him as a number 10. And if I was one of those teams in one of those 3 leagues, I'd be thinking, oh, I want to have a good look at him, because I think if you play him as a number 10, he could be absolutely massive for us. But apparently he can't play in Italy because of the condition, by the way. So, you know, again, I don't know the ins and outs of that. But as a number 10, I think he's absolutely got a few more years left in him. But we don't use him as a number 10. It's Wan-Bissaka all over again. It's Mkhitaryan all over again. It's Kagawa all over again. So, yeah, Eriksen, I think, is in a position where he needs to go, because at his stage of his career, he should be playing football. But, you know, it should be straightforward. We've spoken about CASEMIRO. I mean, yeah. Wan-Bissaka and Maguire, both are 5 at the moment. I think they could move up very, very quickly. They could be like a De Ligt, where they just go high very, very quickly. I think both should go, and I think both could go. And I think, as I said, I think the next 2 weeks are going to be very, very busy, because I think everybody on that colder meter should go and could go. Going back to Jadon Sancho, Juventus is still the most likely destination for him. I mean, look, it's embarrassing for Sancho, isn't it? That, you know, he's played a Champions League final, and, you know, more clubs are interested in Mason Greenwood than Jadon Sancho. And I think that's just how badly Sancho's fallen off over the last 12 months. Unfairly in some ways, potentially. But, you know, you're only as good as your reputation, and his reputation at the moment is not where it needs to be. But maybe Juventus is the right sort of club for him. I personally think Juventus won't sign him on a deal. I think they'll do a loan deal. But he's not a player that can walk into Carrington, I don't think, with his boots a week tomorrow, which is when they're back. So a week tomorrow is when players will be walking back into Carrington. And I tell you what, I've already said it's going to be very depressing if a week tomorrow we see, you know, Donny van der Beek and CASEMIRO and people, you know, walking back in with their boots, because it means that we're struggling to get rid of them, of course. You know, they're not players that can really be part of our future, are they? So, yeah, but look, I think that's a pretty fair reflection of where we are with outgoings at the moment. But, you know, I'll agree. That's where it's at. on relation to incomings at the moment. Morning, Mark. I like the idea of Agate, De Ligt and Branthwaite because they're warriors on the pitch and we need that to elevate the existing squad, says James. Yes, and I think James is right. You know, you speak to players about Martinez and the absence of Martinez last season, and, you know, even Ten Hag said it himself. I'm not saying Martinez is the best centre-back Man United have ever had, but the personality and the way he plays is fundamental to taking our team to the next level. And, you know, you can't be that reliant on one player anyway. You know, Bruno's very important to that team as well. So we need to bring in more players like that. And I would guarantee that that was part of the conversation that Erik Ten Hag had with Ineos, because it's the same conversation Mourinho had as well. And what I mean by that is this conversation that Mourinho had and was refused, and Ten Hag will have said to Ineos is, you can give me this job and I believe I can do it, but I can't do it if you don't replace some of these personalities that will not be replaced. You know, Mourinho said there were 3 players at the club that are still there that he wanted to get rid of 7 years ago. And we can't change the identity of this team, and we won't stop getting, you know, beat every now and again by 4 or 5 goals if we don't change the profile of the squad. And I think that you can see a real theme of what we're looking to bring in, and it's under 25 hungry players. You can definitely see it. Hotometer looking good. July tomorrow, let's go, says Miles. It's always the negativity towards United players, like you say. We are so used to it, but it's a shame. Hojlund can fully focus on pre-season now, says Connor. Rahul says that Rasmus is a type of personality who would use this as fuel. That's why I love Martinez, Rasmus, Mainu and Garnacho. They take criticism in their stride. Methane says, I like the way they're strengthening the spine of the team first, get fullbacks and a winger later. And Margot Robbie says, date with me or Southgate, easy choice. Ty says that Zirkzee has real swag, like Pogba of strikers. I'd like to have seen a bit more of Zirkzee in the Euros, actually, but, you know, obviously it's a player that United are looking at. Big Z says, Pogba vibes because of expectations versus what he will deliver, considering he hasn't lived up to the hype so far. By the way, love the top. Great colour, clean design, says Big Z, talking about... De Ligt. Tay, thanks for your super chat. Sampath, welcome to the Members Club. You're a legend. Calafiori says, ciao, Marco. People must stop disrespecting De Ligt. They act like he's a 30-year-old washed player. And Mohammed says, my son is born and every time he cries, I play the United stand because he's familiar with your voice. There we go. Love that. A young member of the United stand. It grows all the time, doesn't it, the community? And congratulations to you and your partner, Mohammed. Lee Berman says, do you think these players have been chosen with their personality and mentality in mind? And Nicholas says, we should sign more players under 25. Just look what Liverpool and City are doing as well. And Jack Lynch says, would you do a swap deal involving Eriksen for Ivan Toney, since there are so many swap deals happening this summer? I don't think there's much value in that, to be honest, is there? You know, I don't know. Well, Ivan Toney's clearly not coming to Man United, is he? Which will upset Beth and a few of you, but I always said I didn't think Man United would go for Ivan Toney. Big Z says, Sancho's fallen off, yet you get all these Sancho FC people saying bring him back to United. They don't understand it's a team sport. Exactly, Big Z. There was something else I wanted to talk to you about. Oh, yeah, I wanted to just mention Agate and De Ligt. As to whether we think anything official could happen with them. I don't get the feeling that I don't know with that. I don't know. I really feel that Zirkzee this week, and I really feel that there will be outgoings this week that might surprise a few people in relation to how quickly it happens, because I think they might have been lined up. But I think with Agate and De Ligt, they're both. Yeah, I mean, I genuinely don't know how quickly they're going to work. I mean, the De Ligt deal seems to be moving very, very quickly, but I think when you look at Branthwaite, that's ended up dragging, hasn't it? With Agate, I think there might be a bit of again, Everton, Branthwaite vibes in relation to what PSG actually want. I just get the feeling that with United, I'm comfortable to say that over the next week, we will get official deals in and out. Like, here we go, this is happening. I think that we're going to see a real escalation. But I just get the feeling there's going to be a drop that's going to really surprise people. Really. Definitely. Now, I know people are going to start wandering towards certain players and going, "Oh my God, do you think that's going to happen?" I just think we've been very efficient in what we've been doing ever since we gave Ten Hag the job. Now, we weren't efficient in giving Ten Hag the job. That there was a dead period of 3 weeks after the FA Cup final where it was ridiculous. But I think once the decision to keep Ten Hag was made, it's had a domino effect of transfer talks that are official. And I think what's been hidden behind the Zirkzee, Branthwaite, Agate, De Ligt stories is exit. Yes, Varane's gone and Martial's gone, but their contracts are up. They're ended today. But I think that we have been doing something around exits as well. And I think certain players have been told, go and find yourself a club. And, they've got a really tough week ahead because they're either going to be revealing who those clubs are going to be, or they're coming back to Man United a week tomorrow with, a very uncertain future. Now, if they want to, other players have done it. If they want to sit and earn a wage and do sod all, that's up to them. But, yeah, I really just get the feeling that, I think we're going to get some official deals incoming this week, definitely. But I think outgoing, that there's going to be a couple of shocks coming in. And when I say shocks, I mean, I don't necessarily mean, a Bruno or a Rashford. I'm talking a Maguire, a Lindelof, a Wan-Bissaka, where it's very quiet around them and it could just happen really, really quickly. Would you do a swap deal? I've done that one, by the way. I was just looking at social media there to see if anything is happening. Interesting. Look, I don't normally read out specific Twitter accounts, but I have got it in front of me, so it just came up on my timeline. At Ten Hag era. You want to know the correlation with people hating on Hojlund? Most were celebrating Ten Hag potentially getting sacked the other week. It's embedded in some fans to be toxic. They don't believe what they're saying half the time. I think it's quite an interesting point there because there is a correlation. Look, I spoke about this on Friday, and some people didn't like it. And some people did. But I think that there is a correlation there. I think it's a very good observation that there is still a resentment amongst some that Ten Hag has stayed in the job. And they're struggling nearly a month later to compute it and deal with it. And therefore, the way to project that frustration is to attach it to players that are very distinctively Ten Hag players, and Rasmus is one of those. And maybe we'll see it with some new signings as well. But the hypocrisy of it is they won't do it with Martinez, because Martinez is a fan favourite, and yet Martinez is a Ten Hag signing. So there is a complete and utter hypocrisy to it, but it's based on frustration. They wanted Ten Hag to get sacked, they didn't get what they wanted, so they project that in different ways. De Ligt is seen as a Ten Hag signing, and yet it's an Ineos signing. Rasmus is seen as a target because he's a Ten Hag signing, but no one targets Martinez, who is a Ten Hag signing. Ultimately, I would ignore it. People are entitled to their opinion. If they want to be fans of this club and, toxically go after players within it, then, that's their prerogative, that's their decision. But the majority aren't going to do that. We've been in this position before with Beckham and Rooney and Ronaldo and Cantona, and, we don't care. As a fan base, we don't care about external hate. It's not going to bother us, and it won't bother the players. There is a clear vision now. Admittedly, I didn't want the Glazers to stay at the club. I didn't want Ineos to do a deal with them. But you move on. You go with what you've got. And there is a clear vision at the football club. And I'm very optimistic about what we're going to see over the next few weeks. Look, the transfer window needs a score at the end of it, out of 10. Right now, I think we've got to hit an 8. Right now, I'm predicting an 8. A year ago, I was saying you need an 8. And I said, we'll be very lucky if we hit a 5. And I gave it a 4. So, look, there is an optimism in my opinion, about what we can achieve and what we need to achieve. On August the 31st, I might be sat here going, wow, what a fuck up. We got that completely wrong. But I don't see the reason for negativity at the moment. I think we've got some very good fixtures at the start of the season. We've got a lot of players that haven't played in the Euros or out of the Euros. We've got a lot of players that we're looking at in the Euros who haven't played a lot of football in the Euros, like Zirkzee's not played for the Netherlands at all. So, look, I think there's a lot there. The new kit is out tomorrow, says Lee G. Yep. Look, on pure marketing, this is the oldest marketing, trick or desire in the book. When you release a new Man United shirt, you want a new player in it. And honestly, if the new shirt comes out tomorrow, who from the current squad are you going to put in that and make people buy it? It's Garnacho, it's Mainu, maybe a Rasmus, maybe a Delo, maybe a Bruno, but there ain't an abundance of current players you can put in that shirt that's going to make people really want to buy it. You need to get some new players in that shirt to get those shirt sales in, and United will be fully aware of that. But look, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I'm absolutely convinced that this week we will get potentially 3 official deals out there. And when I say official, I'm not talking about the interview or anything like that. I'm talking about, here we go, Man United player. Because for me, that's the official. Because it's never not been right. Feeling the hype with signings at the moment, but if we don't start bringing in the new next few weeks, shifting the old, it's going to be hard to feel positive, says Miles. Well, look, 3 weeks, we're in America, aren't we? 3 weeks goes very, very quickly, so you're right. The next week or 2 is huge. Thanks very much for that, Miles and Lee G as well. Right, big day today. We're back on That's Football, of course. Double watch along. England with Mainu starting against Slovakia. We're on That's Football from about 4:30, but it's a 5 o'clock kickoff. We've got Spain against Georgia at 8 o'clock. United stand will be nestled in between at 7 o'clock, unless, and I hope this doesn't happen, unless England go to extra time, in which case we'll have to push United stand back till after the Spain game, so it'll be about 10 o'clock. But I think England will get through that quite comfortably, and we will have a 7 o'clock show for you, unless something happens before then, because we are in that space now where I think things can be announced very, 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 very quickly. Those things can happen. Don't forget to check out Surfshark, 4 months free with the code. What was the code? I know the code. The code's United Stand. Links in the description, or scan the QR code. Check it out. Absolute legends this morning. Really enjoyed it. Nice to get the Hotometer back as well. Oh, well, not back, but updated. I'll see you on That's Football later. And yes, take care. Speak to you in a bit.